Welcome to Bruins Benders Postgame Live. It is Smitty. It is producer Connor. It is the Bruins in tank mode. I'm wondering if they're going to score more than 5 goals on the entire road trip. Maybe a goal a game type of a thing. Bruins lose tonight 5-1 to Vegas. It was close for a while.
And then it wasn't.
And the Bruins setting all kinds of records for futility. We'll get into that a little bit later. Giving up goals in the last minute of a period again. I think Ty Anderson said that's 28 times, 30 if you want to count one in overtime or 2 in overtime. So, can't score, can't keep it out of your own net. And this is going to happen against good teams, especially on the road where you're awful. So this is the results that we're probably going to be looking at for the remainder of the season. And if that's the case, do the Bruins jump into the top 5 and have a chance at the number 1 overall pick?
More than likely, I would be willing to say yes, they will. Right now, they're in 9th.
Yeah.
But they are only 9 points out of 4th last, which would technically be 29th in the league.
Yeah, they're falling like a stone. I mean,
they are falling like a hot rock. They don't know how to score. They don't know how to shoot the puck.
No.
They don't know how to stay out of the penalty box.
No.
It is a recipe for disaster, if you will.
Yeah, so let's clear out some of these little tidbits that we have here. So that was the 28th time that the Bruins have allowed a goal in the last 2 minutes. 30 if you count the overtime goal versus Anaheim last month and Buffalo on Monday. But in regulation, 28 times they've given up a goal in the final 2 minutes of a period. It will be the first time in team history, since they've started recording shots on goal in the 59-60 season, that the Bruins have gone 3 games straight without 20 shots on net. It's the first time ever since they've started recording shots on goal.
That's not great.
No, that's pretty poor. That's 59-60 to now is 65 years. First time in 65 years they've gone 3 straight games without 20 shots on net. I think that's it's not great. It's not what you're looking for offensively.
I mean, hey, if they start breaking records for being one of the worst teams in franchise history, maybe Don Sweeney puts that on his resume. I put the best team in franchise history together and the worst.
And the worst. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And speaking of the worst of times, John Beecher, my good friend, I'm going to maybe he's going to be kind of like Voldemort, like who should not be named.
He's going to be your new whipping boy.
I'm just not going to mention his name. I got to call him something else. Because I don't want him on my hockey team anymore. He has 7 minor penalties in his last 14 games. And he doesn't produce any offense. This was an actual quote during the game tonight from the play-by-play announcer. Beecher fans on the shot and falls down. And then Vegas went the other way on an odd man rush. But fans on the shot and falls down. That legitimately
a phantom penalty.
Yeah, he because he can't skate anymore. One of his actual skills he can't even do anymore. He tripped himself, toe picked, and they got lucky and called Stone for the penalty. And Vegas was, maybe that pissed him off for the rest of the game, because after that they were better. The Bruins, I think, after that power play, the Bruins didn't have a shot on goal for the rest of the first period. So it pissed Vegas off and they decided to play. And then from that point on, you were done.
Just done.
Done.
I mean,
no chance.
Let's be honest. The Bruins, as one of the commenters in here nice and earlier, Dan said, get ready for the ass whooping because you felt it coming. The Bruins were playing a team that absolutely was going to outclass them. And to be honest with you, seeing how late this game was, I spent the first 2 periods watching the game. In the third period, I kind of laid back a little bit, turned the game on my phone, listened to it, and listened to the meltdown ensue. But for the first half to 75% of that game, I felt like the Bruins still had a chance.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like they were still moderately in the game.
Well, I mean,
a complete blowout at that point. You know, the shots on goal and the play was still moderately competitive. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the second period, maybe the last few minutes, all hell broke loose. And you could see it in the play. It's like the Bruins hit the jet lag that I felt watching that game and was like, fuck, man, it's getting late, getting a little groggy, ready to go. Put my slippers on in the hotel and eat some food and chill, you know?
Yeah, they're probably going out on the town. They're probably not putting their slippers on. Get the Vegas flu or whatever they call it. People go out.
How can you go out and party and celebrate after you just got your ass kicked? That really puts a damper on things.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they do it before the game too. They party before.
Maybe that's why they sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think it's been how they have been all year long. That's why they've sucked. Yeah, it just, you know, it's hard to watch this team now. Here's a question for you, and I don't know the answer for real. I have an idea of what the answer is, but do you think the fact that the lineup isn't changing and they're not giving other people, rookies, young guys with something to prove, a chance in the lineup, do you think that is management's way of saying we are giving up on the season, we're tanking, we're going to play the Patrick Browns of the world, the Vinny Latieris of the world, and not give, you know, the Fraser Mintons and Merkulovs and whatever a chance to play? We're just going to roll these guys and whatever happens, happens.
To be honest with you, I want to say that that's potentially the case, but I also can't get it out of my head that they're playing veterans right now because they think, hey, maybe we have a chance to make the playoffs still.
That's what I think. That's what I think. I think you're giving them too much credit to think that they're actually trying to tank right now.
Probably, yeah. I mean, in Sweeney's eyes and maybe management, they're probably looking at it as like, hey, we can't completely tank. Like, we have to be competitive on the ice. The Jacobs family probably doesn't want to hear boos consistently at the TD Garden. They don't want to hear fire Sweeney chants. Like, that's fucking bad for business at the end of the day.
Sure.
Like, they're looking at this as a business. They're not looking at it as a hockey club or a franchise like Neely and Sweeney may, right? Like, that's just the fact.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, when that stuff happens, they're going to come down and they're probably going to be forced to clean house if it continues to happen. No matter what they say in the media and how much faith they give, even if you want to say Sweeney toughs it out for the rest of the season, if next year they come out and he's getting booed within the first 20 games and fire Sweeney chants are out again, he ain't surviving past the trade deadline, buddy. It ain't going to happen.
I hope not. I mean, it should have happened already as far as I'm concerned. And everybody knows my position on that thing. It should have happened already. It really should have.
And I think there's still a good chance that it happens this offseason. I mean, if the business office comes back and reports that, yo, we had like 30% of our season ticket holders not renew their shit, and we might have a problem selling some tickets next year.
Yeah.
There's going to be a 30 alarm fire going off on Causeway Street.
That's the one place where you can hit the ownership and they'll actually
pay attention
and recognize, something might be up now. We might have to make a change. That's the one place in their wallets at the, concession stand, at the ticket revenue. That's that piece of it is the one place I think you can affect them to make change.
And honestly, that's like the only way as a fan that you can try to, push some of your feelings onto the team is don't support them, obviously not watching them, which whatever, that's not great for people like us who want to hang out and talk about the game and hang out with the commenters. But, we've had people who've commented in here that they've canceled their Nesson subscriptions already for the final bit of the season. So at some point that noise becomes too loud that management and ownership just can't ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, it should be loud. It should have been loud when he went into this off season and then spent on the wrong guys and, wasted the cap space, had an incomplete roster. I mean, all those things. He said it himself before the season even started. The roster was incomplete, which is, to anyone else, that's probably a death sentence. But to him, it's like, I have all the faith in the world that he'll do the right things. Why would ownership think that he would do the right things when he said he's giving you an incomplete roster to start the season? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry, John, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I felt like that was a baked-in excuse for what he saw happening this year. Like, I'm not trying to give Don Sweeney a pass when I say this, because that I am not a giant Don Sweeney fan. Right. And I would be on the first boat to Carolina if Don keeps screwing the pooch with the decisions he makes here. However, I feel like there was a lot of things that happened this year in the Bruins hemisphere that prevented them from being able to have a truly successful season. How much of that you want to blame on Don Sweeney? Completely up for debate. But you have Brad Marchand, who at the end of the season, Don Sweeney says 0 surgeries this offseason for our players. And Marchand comes back mysteriously without having really any rehab or training in the offseason because he had 3 fucking surgeries. Then you have your starting goaltender who didn't get a lick of training camp because of a contract dispute and comes in completely fucking rusty to the season. You can throw some of that blame on Don Sweeney on that one. Yeah. Fully get that. And then you have the 2 signings that you made. You can say they're a mistake. You could say, hey, I'll hold out and wait a season or 2 and see how things are going to turn around. Zadorov is starting to look a lot better. Yeah. He's starting to look like a positive for what his contract is.
I would agree with that.
Elias Lindholm has a lot of fucking homework to do.
Yeah. I think Elias Lindholm is and will always be a C student. No matter how much homework he does, he's always going to be a C student. Maybe a C plus student if he's having a really good study session. Maybe he can get up to a C plus. But
it feels like that kid in school who's like,
that's his ceiling.
He's not that smart, right? But he does all the homework.
Yeah.
He does everything he's supposed to.
Yeah.
He just can't get there. There's just something up here that restricts him.
Yeah.
From being that A+ student.
And he's a teacher's pet who gets all the fucking, gets the test beforehand.
Oh yeah. He's sitting up there. He's that desk that's right on the side of the teacher's desk who's passing out. Oh, here, can you pass out papers to the class?
Yeah.
Here comes Elias passing out the papers.
Yeah. He's getting all the chances. He's getting all the opportunity, and he's not taking advantage of it because he's not a first line player. He just isn't.
Do you think he's getting so much opportunity because of the weight of his signing in Boston, like what he was when he was signed here? Supposed to be this top center that they.
Do you think that's why he's getting the opportunity? Is that what you're saying?
Is that one? That's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah. That's why. It's because that's what they want him to be. That's what they hope he can be. That's what they paid him to be. All of those things. It's the contract. It's the expectation on him. And look, maybe he's feeling some of that pressure and the expectation, and he knows he hasn't had the season that the club wants him to have or that he wants himself to have. So he's, he feels some of the weight of that. And maybe with another season in, he can relax a little bit and play. I still don't think that's going to matter. Maybe he'll have a little bit better year. Like I said, maybe he'll be a C+ guy instead of a C. But, I really think they just overshot by a million miles on that thing. Like they just went way, way over what he should have been paid, and were bidding against themselves. And it's going to hamstring him for a while until they can either get out from under that thing or until he starts to produce. And I don't think he's going to start to produce. So they're going to have to get out from under it at some point.
Yeah. And when I think about him in this contract, I think about how I felt about Charlie Coyle for the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And feeling how overpaid he was at the 5.25 for a third line center. And I feel like that's exactly what we're in for with Elias Lindholm, with the amount of cap increases that we're getting over the next few seasons. But speaking of centers on the Bruins roster and skill and talent, a couple of times tonight, in the midst of how the lines changed, I saw Casey Mittelstadt on the ice with Geekie and Pastrnak. And boy, let me tell you, that got me excited. It didn't last for long, and it was just the way that the lines were changing. But that's something that I want to see. I get that Zacha and Pastrnak have the chubby, chemistry between each other. But I think that Casey Mittelstadt has the most skill of the centers that we have currently.
I would agree with that. I also think of the centers we have currently, he is the least defensively responsible.
Mittelstadt?
Yes.
Which is really fucking funny because you know what number he used to wear and why?
Bergeron's number.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because he looked up to Bergeron.
He looked up to Bergeron. Yeah. He is the poorest of poor man's Patrice Bergerons. Unfortunately, he's not good defensively at all. Like I was watching him a few times in his own zone, and he looks completely lost. So offensively, yeah, you can see the hands. He makes plays. He has good poise with the puck. He set guys up for some really good chances. But defensively, he has a long way to go, as does Lohrei. But, maybe this time now, the end of the season, they'll get more minutes. They'll get more experience, and they'll be able to grow in that. And then I think with Mittelstadt, another year, in the system, I guess, who knows if it's a new coach, maybe it's a new system. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But if they stay with the system, I think another year in it will, benefit him, and that should help with his defensive liabilities.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, regardless of the system, regardless of the coach, just assuming the players that we've got on the roster this year, which one of these 3 centers would have the most points next year, in your opinion? Pavel Zacha, Casey Mittelstadt, or Elias Lindholm in a full 82-game year? They're all fully healthy all next season.
Am I guessing who they play with, or just?
Yeah, you can create that all on your own.
It's Zacha. Zacha will have the most.
Zacha will have the most points. Just because you think that he's going to get paired with Pastrnak.
It's going to be Zacha. And then it will probably be Lindholm. And Mittelstadt will get the trash.
You think that he'll get the third line center next year?
Yes. With the trash cans, with the Laukos and
Lettieri, Koepke.
Yeah, yeah.
Re-sign Justin Brazeau.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. It really is. It's gonna be bad. Because I don't think they're gonna be able to attract any free agents. Coming off a team that was bottom 5 in the league. You're not. The high-end talent is not coming to you, no matter how much you offer them. They'll go somewhere else for a few million less, if it's Florida or Texas or somewhere where they don't have state income tax or whatever, and they'll be able to make up the difference than what you could have paid, and they won't come here. They'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw a post on Twitter where somebody was mentioning a great off season would be Mitch Marner and Nikolai Ehlers or Brock Besser.
Absolutely.
And I just say, okay, Ehlers and Besser are probably in the $7 to $8 million range, maybe. And Marner's around 14.
Probably.
So are you willing to spend $22 million on 2 players?
Yes.
When you have a whopping 27 or 28 this coming off season to spend? You're willing to spend almost 80% of that on 2 players.
I would be because the guys that you have on the bottom of your roster now are not worth the money anyways. And you could fill those spots in with younger players. You're going to not be very good anyway. So just let the kids play and, they'll make not necessarily league minimum, but close to it. So I would be okay with that. I would be. Because you need more high-end talent. And then if you have a couple guys next year with more high-end talent, the cap goes up. There's some re-signings you have to do, and, you'll have to make some decisions on some guys. But at least you'll have 2 more guys that are talented, and that's what you need. Maybe get a top 5 pick this year. There's another young guy that can come in, maybe make an impact. Hopefully next year you get the number 1 pick, you get Gavin McKenna, and now you're cooking with gas because you got a couple guys this year. You still have Pastrnak. You got the rookie from this year's draft, and you pair that with McKenna, and then you have a top 6 all of a sudden. And then you can fill in the rest. But you need to get more high-end talent. And until they do that, this is where they're going to be. They're going to be towards the bottom of the league because you just can't. I mean, even Pastrnak tonight, he looked engaged. He was flying around at times. Makes a great play to set Geekie up for his 1 goal, but it was 1 goal.
Yeah, and you know what? It really is hard when you have 2 offensive players and they have Mark Stone on the other team, who's a phenomenal 2-way player and a great shutdown player.
Yeah, Vegas's defense is, top 10 in the league.
It's a Bruce Cassidy coach team, for crying out loud.
I mean, you watch Vegas play defense in front, and you watch us play defense in front, and that's what we used to be. Like, you couldn't get inside on the Bruins in previous years, and now the slot's wide fucking open. Sorry, John, but it is. Yeah. It's like, well, I don't know who was it, Stone or somebody. No, it was Tomas Hertl got a puck in the high slot, and he had a chance to fucking stick handle it before he shot, like dust it off. Usually it gets to the high slot. You got to shoot right away. No, he got it. He fucking stick handled. He had like a sip of a fucking beer, and then he shot it. Like, he had all fucking day. And that's not Bruins hockey. That's not the way they play defense. And the defense, whoever is doing that, Jay Leach or whoever, the young guys or the new guys haven't bought in. And the defense is bad, and it's been going downhill. They're giving up way more high danger chances than he used to give up. And you can see the difference clear as day tonight, 5-1. There it is.
And speaking of Tomas Hertl ripping down a beer in the middle of the ice, for all of you commenters here hanging on with us just after 1 a.m. Eastern time, and for our Aussie contingent, it's just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon there. What the fuck are y'all sipping on at 1 a.m. or 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah. Dan Maynard, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on that's got to be Friday now over there, right? It should be fucking happy hour. He's
double fisting the monsters today. He's got to be.
Oh, it's 3 o'clock. It's time for booze.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, it's happy hour. It's happy hour now.
Maybe he's a couple hours away from getting off of work and having the weekend, and we're sitting here in the fucking wee hours in the morning after a ridiculously late hockey game.
I don't know why we're doing this right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Matty gave up on us, but he gave us plenty of good notice today. He said, "Go fuck yourselves. You can have fun. I'll see you on Saturday night."
Yeah. Yep. He fucked us, but he did give us notice. So there was some lubrication this time. Yep. It wasn't completely raw. So here we are late at night for the people. Let's speaking of the people, let's go to the comments, shall we?
We shall. We got a few of them tonight. I think the West Coast roadie really kept some people at bay.
All right. So Dan Maynard says, we all ready for this was before the game was starting. We all ready for the ass whooping. So Dan, a little bit, Nostradamus like there. He called it. Matthew Curtis says, yes. He was ready for it. And he also says, and imagine telling a new coach coming in or taking over that your second line is Koepke, Mittelstadt, and Lettieri, the Minnesota line that has produced basically nothing. So,
by the way, since I know that this is recorded and like hundreds to thousands more people listen to this on the opposite end after we're live.
Yeah.
We should also say that the streak moderately continues today.
The streak continues because our boy Matthew Curtis, yes, it was
Matthew Curtis. Absolutely. Yes. He hopped in today with a little order using your friendly code. Sorry, John.
Matthew Curtis. So the streak lives, and we need the streak to continue because Matthew Curtis stepped up with his big swinging dick like he did, and he ordered. So we need that to continue. So use the coupon code. Sorry, John. Get 20% off. You can buy the rocks glass. Ours are on the way, so we'll be sure to show those off once we get them. But there's all kinds of other stuff on there: t-shirts, sweatshirts,
dishwasher safe mugs,
dishwasher safe mugs, all kinds of things. So help us out, buy something from the store, keep the streak alive. We would much appreciate it if you would do that. All right, back to the comments. Matthew Curtis says, and if I don't make it to the end, I bought a highball glass. Oh, there you go. Highball glass and a mug. So he double dipped. Even better.
Good.
Even better. So we appreciate that, Matthew. Thanks a lot. Dan Maynard says, as usual, I'm at work and can't watch the game. Box scores aren't making it look terribly exciting. No, Dan. No, it was not terribly exciting at all. And I would say that your work or trying to avoid getting killed by a spider would be much more exciting than the Bruins game, or maybe getting kicked by a kangaroo.
Potentially. But, I mean, like I said, until the last 2 minutes of the second period, it was nothing game.
Yeah, I guess.
It was a pretty boring back and forth defensive game.
Yeah.
And then all hell broke loose.
Well, that's what happens. I mean,
that's what happens when you're not the best team on the ice.
Right. When one team has talent and the other one doesn't, the one that doesn't can keep it close for a while and hang around. And they did have some good chances. And, Hill made the save. Swayman was sharp early. But then, when you give up, when you make mistakes defensively, or you give up an odd man rush against good teams, those things bite you in the ass because they have guys that can finish and make plays and you don't. And then you're chasing the score and then it's over because you can't come back. You don't have enough offensively to come back. I mean, you had the lowest shot total in 3 games in a row in 65 years. Mm-hmm. So, in your team's history, it's happened 12 times in the history of the entire league since 1960.
Pretty fucking terrible.
Fucking terrible is right.
I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
Can we pull an audible here? Am I allowed to do that? Since
you can do whatever you want. You're the producer of the show.
We can take a slight pause to talk about the misfortunes of another team for a second.
Okay, this is fun. Let's shit on someone else. I like it.
The Edmonton Oilers tonight.
Didn't everybody on their team get hurt?
Essentially, yeah. I'm pretty sure that Leon Draisaitl left the game. McDavid left the game with a lower body injury and did not return.
Yeah.
And then goalie Stuart Skinner was pulled by concussion spotter and did not return. So for the Boston Bruins, who are a country mile out of the playoffs, there is also the Edmonton Oilers, who are rocketing at the Pacific Division with 85 points, 3 behind Vegas, who are falling apart at the seams.
Falling apart at the seams, it seems. Yeah, I mean, I hate to see people get injured. That's the one thing that I don't like, but I guess we can revel in the fact that, they might be without their top 2 scorers going into the playoffs. I don't know how long that'll last for. The McDavid thing didn't look that bad to me. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It looked to me more like a hand, which I don't know why they would call it lower body. It's like he got his hand caught on the sweater of whoever the defenseman was, it looked like, and maybe like dislocated a finger or something, and they just...
I don't know. To me, it kind of looked like a non-contact groin injury.
Oh, really?
From skating. Yeah, because if you watch him go and skate, he goes and he moves his body to stride and move past somebody. And when he brings his foot back down on the ice, he reaches his hand down into his groin area and bends over. And he doesn't bring his hand back out. So
maybe he just wanted to tug it a little bit.
Maybe he's going to fucking tug one off and he fucking, I don't know.
Who knows?
Ripped a little 4Z or something and lower body injury, can't come back. You never know. But for us here, it's doom and gloom, but it could always be worse. We could be trying to win a Stanley Cup and all of our star players are getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
worse.
I guess that's the way to look at it is, can you imagine if our team was actually good and we lost, Pastrnak and Geekie and Coyle, Coyle.
Coyle.
McAvoy to injury, all right at the same time towards the end of the season. That would suck.
Breaking news: Charlie Coyle, superstar of the Boston.
Charlie Coyle. Yeah, he can't do without him. I don't know. I saw a video of him talking about Brandon Carlo.
Oh my God, and he was just.
Oh my God, he was
giving it to him. He is just a really down to earth guy.
Yeah,
he's a guy you love to play with and be around. He's a real guy. He's a real dude. What you see from him behind the scenes and on the ice is exactly what you get. And that's the guy that you want on the team. That's what was happening. Just go ahead. Somebody can clip that later on YouTube. Enjoy that.
Yeah. I think that's going to be, I mean, if anything, you could turn that thing into a meme. I think we should meme you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Everything is able to be clipped on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. So you can have a ball. You should be able to download the video and fucking make a clip out of it. Enjoy it. Send it to me at least, or tag me on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
There. Tag the Benders show. They'll show me.
Yeah. Tag Benders and tag ITR Connor when you clip them, sucking off Brandon Carlo. So that's
with his long rangy stick from back in the day.
With his long rangy stick. Oh man. This is what happens when it gets late at night. We get a little raunchy, a little rowdy.
It's Benders After Dark.
It's Benders After Dark. Plus, I mean, hell, the team sucks right now. What else are we going to talk about? Adrian says, sorry, boys, can't make it to the end, but my Benders bourbon glass could arrive tomorrow.
Woo!
Night, y'all. So that's exciting. I hope Adrian gets hers, and I hope mine comes tomorrow too, because I could use it.
From what I had seen when I had looked over all the order information yesterday, is that all of the orders that were processed before 2 days ago would arrive between the 19th and the 24th. So yours and everybody else's, except for Matthew Curtis today, should all be there by the 24th.
Okay. What's today?
The night. Today's now the 21st.
Yeah, today's the 21st. All right. So yeah. So we got sometime between now and Monday.
Yeah.
That we think.
Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe everybody will get these rocks glasses Saturday afternoon, and you'll have to wait 30 hours for the game to be over on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And everybody will be fucking sloshed at 2 a.m.
That's my plan, honestly. That's my plan for Saturday
night. By the way, can I just say that you're fucking looking like Happy Gilmore over here with that jersey on?
Yeah, I'm going old school Bruins because that's when they were good.
Have you seen the new Happy Gilmore trailer that he just posted?
Bear, a meth bear on the sleeve there. Yeah.
Legend.
I did see the trailer. Yeah, I'll watch it. Watch it.
Were you a fan of the first Happy Gilmore?
I like the first one. Yeah.
Some nostalgia coming back for the second one, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be nostalgia. I mean, his movies are kind of stupid, and they're all kind of the same. But I liked them. I did.
Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertainment. Dan Maynard says, "I'm on my break now and choosing not to turn the game on. Smart decision, Dan. I don't want to spend my break pissed off. Again, smart decision. Because you can't drink on the job. I think that's probably frowned upon.
Allegedly.
So, yeah, smart decision by you. Don't turn the game on. Don't drink. Get yourself.
I wonder how many jobs you could think of where drinking on the job is acceptable. Like widespread jobs, like not some niche shit. Like, I can drink on the job if I want to. Who the fuck is going to tell me no, right? But that's not a job for everybody. Maybe a bartender is probably one of the only ones where you can drink acceptably.
Yeah. I mean, this job, if we were, it was like a real job. I mean, it is for you, but we drink on air
every night. Yeah.
So
I shouldn't say
not every night. Going with the old Poland Springs tonight.
Attaboy.
But
taking a tolerance break.
A lot of times we do. I don't have the rocks glass yet, so I should be using my mug though. That was a mistake. But
it's for Poland Springs.
Yeah, I mean we could. Yeah, can Poland Springs sponsor us? Sponsor the fucking post game lives.
They'll give you half of a penny for showing that bottle that one time.
Yeah. They'll give me the recycling money.
the 5 cents back. That they don't in Illinois, they don't do a 5 cent recycling charge.
They don't do it on water here either.
And like you can't take anything back to the store for recycling and get money back for it. So everybody here just fucking throws their shit in the garbage can.
Yeah, the water bottles, they do that. Only soda and beer you can take back.
Like, it's so stupid to me. Like, if you want people to, recycle.
Yeah. Well, they charge you for it, though. They charge you for it at the beginning. So you got to pay the bottle deposit at the beginning when you buy the shit, too.
Mm-hmm.
So they jack the price up, and then they hope you won't bring it back so they can fucking make more.
Yeah, well, that's what's weird. So, like, spoiler alert, producer Connor lives on the Mississippi River, and it's like 5 minutes for me to be in Iowa, and I live on the Illinois side of the river.
You just
The
throw all
Iowa,
your bottles and cans in the river?
well, no, the Iowa side of the river has the deposit. So, like, what really fucking blows
So
is
you swim across? What do you do?
the only Sam's Club is over there, and that's typically where I order my drinks. So I fucking have to pay the deposit for all that. But then I bring them over here to Illinois, and I can't do anything with them. So I just fucking throw them away. Like,
You got to bring them back.
I'm not wasting my time.
If you got to go over there to get them, you might as well the next time you go over there to buy them, just bring the fucking empties with you. One trip.
Well, spoiler alert, producer Connor is not traveling over to Sam's.
Yeah.
Producer Connor's wife works right down the street from Sam's.
Okay.
So I get to type up the order and say, hey, honey, I have an order at Sam's for you to pick up on the way home.
There you go. Well, that's,
working smarter, not harder.
That's you in a nutshell right there. And that's well done. Honestly, it's good.
Anywho, we're really dipping into it today.
Yeah, Matthew Curtis says, I'm really starting to think the only way this team moves the needle this offseason is by getting Marner. I don't think Besser and Ehlers combined could do it. Need another dynamic play driver. I agree 100%. But
And I think that I may be confused. The tweet that we were reading and the thing that we were going on is Marner plus one of those two players, not Besser and Ehlers combined. So
it was Marner and Besser or Ehlers, but then someone also mentioned just Besser and Ehlers, and I agree. I think the two of them combined is a real good start, but I agree. I think Marner is the guy you want. He's younger. He is more dynamic. He's
what's going to compensate for you not having a superstar center.
Correct. Because he can drive a line by himself.
Yes. And you can say that Marner played center in junior. Sure. He doesn't in the NHL. And that's what counts to me. All right.
Yeah.
And all of these players are wingers. And if the Bruins are not going to go out and address the problem of having a number one talented center, then you need to go out and get the best top six wingers available to compensate for your ass cheeks center depth.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you're probably looking at Elias Lindholm playing with Marner because I think they can get more out of him offensively, and maybe with Marner they could. I don't think so, but maybe. And then if you plug in one of these other guys with those two, that's a pretty good line. And then that goes along with, your Pastrnak, Geekie, Zacha. That's a decent top six. It's a decent top six. It's pretty good. And then you got to fill in, around Mittelstadt.
The thing that I can't get out of my brain, and I apologize for cutting you off, but it was just stewing in my brain as you were speaking. We have Poitras.
Yeah.
We acquired Fraser Minton.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have three legitimate NHL centers blocking every fucking roster spot that those two players should be playing in, because I will drive the 18 hours to come take a shit on Don Sweeney's desk if he brings up Fraser Minton and plays him on the fourth line. I will drive 18 hours to shit on Don Sweeney's desk if that happens. I will be so pissed off. Like, enough.
I don't know what he played in Toronto. Did he play center?
Yes.
But he did. So he was like a third or a fourth line center in Toronto when he played there.
Well, that's what he was projecting at.
In the NHL, I'm talking about when he got his 14 games or whatever. Was that at center or was that wing? I'm wondering if he plays like third line wing with like Mittelstadt centers or Minton centers and Mittelstadt plays wing or whatever. Like the two of them play together, and then I don't know if it's Fabian, Lysell, or if it's Patra or who. I mean, that's a young, inexperienced line. that would probably be horrible defensively, even though Minton's supposed to be a pretty good 200-foot player.
Thankfully, Google is a gem and you can find anything.
Yeah.
He was on the third line during his time with the team, and he was called up when Max Pacioretty got hurt. He centered a third line of Max Domi and Nick Robertson.
Yeah, see, that's decent talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
He won't have that in Boston.
Well, yeah, and that's, one of my points, and one of the things that I hate about the Boston Bruins development is you have players that are talented and you bring them up and you bury them in your bottom six and you play them with less talented players and then are flabbergasted when it doesn't work out with those players or they regress in their play because they go from their entire life of being a skilled player, a star, a point producer, and then you stick them on a bottom six role and you ask them to play defensively, and then they lose that offensive ability. And everybody goes, well, I guess they were a bust. Couldn't have been us.
Yeah. That's the Bruins development in a nutshell right there. That's how they do it. They take skilled players, they put them in the bottom six, and they say produce. And when they don't, because they're playing with stiffs, then they say, oh, you made a mistake and it cost us a goal and now you can't play anymore. That's what happens.
And this is what makes me feel that this is not a retool. This is not a rebuild. This is a couple guys were going out and they are running it back with a near similar roster to what you see right fucking now on the ice.
Well, if that's the case, you're looking at a very, very strong potential that the Bruins will be in the mix for Gavin McKenna next year. Because this team, as currently constituted, fucking blows. Sorry, John.
I agree. But when I think about it and what I had said before the trade deadline on why I wanted Brandon Carlo to be traded is because your argument or Matty's argument was, well, it makes us weak on the right-hand side of the D. We get really weak really quick. My argument was, yes, but if we're going to suck, we need to make room for the young players in the organization to play in this roster in roles that they should be playing. We are seeing live fire of this with Mason Lohrei getting the world of an opportunity and developing before our eyes because he's fucking getting the opportunity.
Yeah.
And what the Bruins have done is they've taken Matt Poitras and now Fraser Minton, and they have log jammed them down to the AHL by continuing to have Zacha. You signed Lindholm, and then you brought Mittelstadt back in the trade. So unless Don Sweeney has some plans of grandeur and, in the next season, he's going to move out Mittelstadt and Zacha, who are on moderately expiring contracts, we're in the same boat. The young guys aren't going to fucking play.
Yeah, I think he may be considering moving one of those guys out.
You need to make room
in a couple of years. I think he probably is. I think Mittelstadt is basically on like a 2-year tryout, and if he does well, they'll probably sign him because that's what they do, and he'll block those guys. But it's essentially, I think, a little bit of a tryout for him. And then Zacha, I think they want more from him. They just have never gotten it. They see the potential occasionally. He shows moments. He has moments. But he's just not. He's not a great offensive player. He has a pretty good shot, and he has, pretty good skill, and he's pretty good defensively. But he's not real good at any of it. So you get, a 60-point guy, which is fine, but, not really worthy of the number 4 or number 6 overall pick when he was, came into the league. So, he's kind of been an underachiever his whole career. And that's what you'll probably continue to get because he's just not an elite offensive player. He's a pretty good player and he's a good guy to have on your team, but he's not a first line player, certainly. So yeah, those guys are blocked for now. Maybe Poitras gets traded. Maybe he spends a full year in the AHL. He's still young, so maybe that happens while these guys are playing and he's getting the tryout. They're getting the tryout kind of a deal.
I cannot see a world where he gets traded. How the fuck can you be retooling, or we won't even say retool or rebuild. We'll just say taking the other path and trade one of your top young talents. That math doesn't make sense to me. Even if you say we're going to package him for a top fleet center. That is moderately counterproductive to get older after you finally just got younger.
I would agree with you if they're not playing. Like, if you're going to do that, though, should you be trading Pastrnak? Like, should you be blowing the whole thing up? Because by the time the young guys are ready to play and win, is Pastrnak going to be, on the downside? Is he going to be past his prime? So you got to figure out that window and maximize it. And if you have too many young guys, and Nathan McKinnon said it, and the Bruins now are one of the youngest teams in the league currently constituted. Young teams don't win. They don't. If you look at the age of the rosters, the older rosters are all at the top of the league, with the exception of a couple. And I can't think of what they are off the top of my head, but all the playoff teams, all the good teams, they're older because they're veteran players that know how to play. They know how to win. The young guys in the league are still trying to find themselves. They're maybe not as reliable defensively, whatever the case may be, but the young guys don't win in this league. So if you go younger, you're not going to win. So
yeah, but as the Bruins are constituted right now, I think they're 25.7 years of age on average on their roster.
Yeah.
Or close to that, I think. We had shared the graphic a few weeks ago in the group chat. And that's while you have, the Nikita Zadorov, the Hampus Lindholm, the Charlie McAvoy, the David Pastrnak on your team. Those are all players who you can say know how to win. They've played on teams that have won. They've played long playoff runs. And I agree that in some sense, the young teams don't win. But I don't know if it's necessarily due to age or if it's because they get so young that no one on the team has been there or done that. Like, I think of the Buffalo Sabres when we have this conversation, right? Like, they really fucking blew it up after Milan Lucic crippled their organization. And they've never been able to come back, but they have never been able to keep a veteran on that team with a lot of winning experience. It's just always been young guys over and over again. And that's the argument to not get rid of the Swayman, the McAvoy, the Pastrnak. You can be middling and not get the top 3 pick, but pick 5 through 10 a few years in a row and make a few savvy trades and signings, and tally ho, you're right back in it in a few years. But you don't want to end up in a rebuild that's years and years and years long because you've gotten rid of absolutely everything.
No. But you want your core guys, your top forwards to all be in their prime, which is 27, 28. Here's the Florida Panthers ages, Stanley Cup champions from last year. Barkov's 29, Bennett's 28. Jesper Boquist is 26, Lundell 23, Lester Rainen 26, Brad Marchand 36. Sam Reinhart, 29. Evan Rodriguez, 31. Nico Sturm, 29. Carter Verhaeghe, 29. So that's just the centers. Matthew Tkachuk, 27. Ekblad's 29. Forsling's 28. Seth Jones is 30. Kulikov's 34. Mikola's 28. Nate Schmidt's 33. So like all those guys, with the exception of a couple that are like 23 and 26, all of them are 28, 29, 30 years old.
Yeah.
And those are the teams that win. You have to be older. You have to have experience. You have to have, man strength, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And the 22-year-old, 21-year-old Matthew Poitras at 165 pounds isn't going to win in the playoffs.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But being realistic about the expectations of the Bruins right now and what we realistically see and what we want out of the team, in those expectations are completely different. I'm not expecting the team to win a Stanley Cup.
No.
I want them to be younger, and I want them to, if I had my way, this Bruins roster's age would probably be around 23 years old, because the Vinny Lettieri would be in Providence right now.
Yeah.
Patrick Brown would be in Providence right now. Fabian Lysell would have been on the ice. Georgi Merkulov would have been on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would bring up Brett Harrison and give him a taste. Bring up Fraser Minton, give him a couple games. I would be giving everybody that I have drafted in the last 5 years on that Providence Bruins team 2 to 3 games on this roster to see what we have against NHL players leading into the offseason. Why that hasn't started is fucking asinine and absurd to me, and why I told you that I feel in my heart of hearts that these dumb fucks, sorry, John, really thought that, hey, bring up the veterans who have been around and have played. We need to try and win some games. We might be able to fucking make the playoffs.
Oh, they think that. They do.
Get
fucked. Yeah. They should be doing that. They should be giving the young guys a chance. 100%. They should be. And I don't know why they are. Like I said, I think they're still trying to win games. I mean, I think at this point, maybe you'll start to see some of the young guys get chances now that, they're essentially out of it. I mean, what are they, 5 points back now with, they have 13 games left and they have like 6 teams to jump over. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, they're a fucking ways out of it. They're 5 points out.
Yeah.
Of a wild card spot at this point.
Yeah. 5 points out with what, 6 teams to leap over. That's not happening.
Yeah. They've got Detroit, Columbus, the Rangers, the Islanders, and then Montreal and Ottawa hold the actual wild card spots.
Yeah, it's not happening. So maybe now you'll start to see maybe some of those young guys get chances. Or they're, loading up for a big, Calder Cup run down there. Everybody go down and see the Providence Bruins. Nice take.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Sure. If the Providence Bruins are going to be good, fuck it. We can say they're going to get the experience of playing in the playoffs, and that's going to be great for their development. Sure, I mean, we can do that.
They did that. What team was it that did that a few years back, and it actually did benefit them some? Was it? It wasn't the Red Wings. One of those Red Wings teams, was it? That like the Grand Rapid Griffins or whatever the Red Wings AAA team or AHL team, whatever. They had a bunch of guys down there that all were like pretty good prospects that all stayed down. They played in the AHL playoffs, gained some experience, and won the thing, and then came up and had confidence. And Detroit was like pretty good because of it. I don't know.
Oh, I mean,
I could be totally
talking about Washington, to be honest, because Hershey's won the AHL Calder Cup multiple times in a row.
Yeah, so maybe that was it with like the Conrick Michaels and like some of
I
those
think
guys.
Hendricks Lapierre
Yeah.
was in that mix. They've got 2 really good fucking goaltenders
Yeah.
in the AHL still. So
yeah, maybe there is a benefit to that. I mean, it certainly helped Poitras' confidence when he went down earlier in the year and played down there for a while. So maybe there's a benefit to that.
But it only lasts for so long.
I know, but maybe it's you don't want them to come up and get infected with all the bullshit that's around this fucking group of, disaster.
Sure.
And just, start fresh next year, which, I could see that path as well, just because, it seems just like a lost season, and it seems like it would be not necessarily a waste of time, but a waste of time to bring them up and, give them a taste in games that don't really mean anything now. So I don't know. I could see it both ways. But we'll see what ends up happening with it all. Dan Maynard says, I thought of you guys 2 days ago when the truck in front of me missed 2 kangaroos by a nut hair, as Matty would say. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he would say that, Dan. Wow. He said that kangaroos, if you hit one, it'll like total your car, right?
Yeah,
totally
so they can fuck your car up pretty good. They're pretty sturdy mammals.
If it's coming at them, do they try to like kick it? Will they try to like jump up and kick it, or do they know it's bigger than them and just
submit to the ass beating it's about to do?
They know that they just know they're gonna get run down, or do they
try to
reverse hit, like throw a shoulder into it or something, or maybe they try to kick it, or
it's like fucking Frogger but with kangaroos.
Yeah, maybe they just try to outrun it, like you said. Kangaroos are fast as fuck, aren't they? I think they are.
I've never seen one in real life, but hopefully never have to get assaulted by a kangaroo.
Oh, we're going to Australia. You're taking us
someday over the rainbow, right?
Yeah, Matty and Smitty travel the world. It's going to happen. It's going to be we're going to be on one of those travel programs.
Matty Down Under.
We're going to have it's going to be like Matty Worldwide, and we're going to travel the world. Like Anthony Bourdain or some shit. Who was the guy that didn't who's the guy who did The Office? The British guy. Like, why? I'm totally drawing a blank. The comedian.
In the actual Office?
Yeah, the comedian. The one who created the actual Office, the British version of it. The British comedian. He's hosted the Oscars or the Golden Globes or whatever. Somebody help me out here, for the love of Christ, please.
Stephen Merchant? I'm Googling it. Ricky Gervais?
Ricky Gervais. He had like a buddy of his who was like, I don't know if he was necessarily slow, but he was kind of dim-witted. So like he was just like a regular English bloke who had like weird sensibilities about the world, and they sent him places to travel, and to
see what would happen.
Yeah, to see what would happen, and it was kind of funny, and like he was like, I don't know why these people, he went to China or something, or India, and like the bathroom was just like a hole. There was just like a bunch of holes, and he's like, I'm not shitting in the ground on the ground, and like, whatever. But that will be Matty and I when we travel the world.
So
Matty will have those same type of issues as we travel around.
What's really funny about that and the fucking hole in the ground for a toilet, I'm pretty sure I'm safe saying this, but a couple of my friends who do listen to this don't fucking snitch me out. One of my buddy's moms is Asian and like from the fucking bush, right? Like she still is accustomed and will use, like, you walk out into this little hut in the middle of the jungle and there's just a hole in the ground for you to go piss and shit in. Yeah. And mind you, she's now lived in the United States for over 60 years. She's in her 80s. And she, to this day, will go into the bathroom after going and using the toilet and will get a hot bowl of water and will splash herself over the toilet to clean like she's in the fucking hut in the middle of the woods at like 80 something years old. Doesn't skip a beat.
Well, we gotta be careful how hot the water is, because that's an issue. That's a bidet. I mean, that's essentially a bidet. She's classy. That's what we're saying.
Have you ever used a bidet?
No.
So
I'd like to, though.
So
I'd like to be real clean. That'd be nice.
I have one at my house.
Do you?
I personally don't use it. It freaks me out, and the water's cold. So like,
oh yeah, the cold water.
Not a huge fan. We
No.
don't have one that like heats the water. So like maybe if we got one of those, like maybe I'd be interested. But the first time I ever used one, I was in France and I didn't know what a bidet was.
Sure.
And when I was in France, the hotel that we were at had a toilet and a mini toilet.
Yeah.
Well, the mini toilet was a bidet.
Right.
Aha. Who knew? Yeah. Well, we were fucking stupid. And we were just like, oh, fucking sweet. 2 toilets. Nope. So we were fucking sitting next to each other. 2 dudes sitting next to each other in the bathroom, taking a fucking piss next to each other after getting shitty drunk. And all of a sudden, go to flush. Bam! Here comes a fucking streak of water flying out of the toilet. Smacks you right in the fucking face.
Yeah.
As we think you're going to flush. Terrible timing.
Yeah, that was probably piss. Probably piss.
You never know.
I was in France too with my dad when I was a kid, and I did not use the bidet, but there was one in our hotel, and I turned the water on and it shot up from underneath, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Because I was too young to know what it was. So yeah, didn't use it, but I wouldn't mind having one now.
They're fun to shoot. Like,
yeah, sure.
When my son was younger and a little bit easier to like carry around and whatever, we would joke around, and whenever he was in a bunch of trouble, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to give you a swirly. And one day he was just mouthing off because he knew I wasn't going to do it. Right. So I had him up and I had his legs right here on my shoulder, and I brought him into the bathroom and I just held him up about 3 feet away from the toilet. And I just cranked that bidet on and squirted him with it. Bloop, right in the face. Enjoy that nice bidet water, buddy. That's what you get for talking some shit.
Yep. So they're talking about, we'll get back to the comments here. This should have been the roster 3 months ago. Cab says Bruins would be looking at the number 1 pick. Yeah, they should have done this a long time ago. If they were going to go the route that Sweeney did at the deadline, trading off all these guys, they should have done it a long time ago. Probably before the 4 Nations break. And that would have allowed them to get a higher draft pick, because he should have seen the writing on the wall, like all the rest of us did, that the team wasn't going to be good enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I just said that I still don't think that this is the roster that should be on the ice. So
no, it is.
I think it is. It's time to invest in your youth.
Yeah. Dan Maynard says, "Wow, Geekie and Pasta. Who'd have thought? Someone throw more money at Pasta, please." Yeah, I mean, he's got that extension, but we've talked about it on here a little bit. If Bruins have a few more years like they're having right now, he's going to ask out, because he's 28 years old right now. I know this is a comment, some guys have mentioned how old Pasta was. He's 28, and he's right in that window, right with where the Florida Panthers guys are. Those are cup winning years, in that 28 to 30, 31, 32 range. So
if you're trading David Pastrnak, that is probably got to be the most titanic trade that the NHL has seen in the last decade. If you move him.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm talking like you're trading him to a team like the Wild would be a really good example. A team who's on the up, trying to compete and have players in their core around his age. And you're going to trade him for you're probably going to get a Marco Rossi, 2 first-round picks, and a prospect plus.
Yeah, probably. But yeah,
it would have to be like such a massive trade.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
That's why I don't see it happening.
No, it's not going to happen, but he's going to ask for it at some point if the team continues to suck and they don't build around him in the next couple of years. It's going to have to turn around quick for him because he's in his prime years now. This is the years when he should be competing and winning. And the fact that he won't be, I think, and he doesn't have it's going to wear on him,
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be looking to go somewhere else if the Bruins aren't going to be a contender. He's not going to waste his prime years in Boston playing for a shitty team for the next, 4 or 5 years. So they're going to have to turn things around quickly.
The shitty part is he has a no move clause until the 2027 or the 2028-2029 season. It switches over to an 8-team no trade clause for the final 3 years of the contract. So if he does ask out within the next 3 seasons, he gets to dictate where, which will significantly ruin the return.
Yeah, if I'm the Bruins, I don't move him until I can have some leverage.
Get a good return.
Yeah, get a good return.
Like,
I wouldn't move him anyways, unless it was for, Nathan.
This could be your Matthew Tkachuk trade. It could be.
Right.
You could be on the Panthers end, or you could be on the Flames end.
No, you're going to be on the Flames end because you're the one that's giving away the better player. If you're getting 2 guys in return, you're giving away the better player, just like Calgary did, because he was the one who asked out. Tkachuk did.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida said, yeah, we'll take him off your hands and we'll give you this guy who had an amazing season and a really good defenseman. And, Uyghur's been good for them. And Huberdeau's been a giant disappointment and has never come close to producing what he did in Florida.
So,
and if you get rid of Pastrnak, that's what you're going to get back. You're not going to get back a 110-point guy. You're going to get back an 80-point guy, and you're going to get back a 45-point guy. And then you're going to be saying, why aren't we as good? Well, you gave away an elite talent for a guy who's good and a guy who's pretty good. And that's what you'll end up with. And it will be a mistake.
Pastrnak turns 29 in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time he switches over to a modified no trade clause, he would be 34 with 2 to 3 years remaining on the contract. My feeling would be, he's 4 years from now.
2027.
No, 2028, 2029. I corrected myself after I said 2027.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the 4th season from now, technically speaking.
Yeah, so 33.
33 turning 34 at the end of the season. So I don't know. I feel like you end up in the same boat that you were now as far as a trade haul with Brad Marchand. A first round pick and a prospect. If he's hurt, you're fucked. Sorry to be the dumbass who didn't sit him out. But if you trade David Pastrnak now, even with some trade protection, maybe you can get another star player plus on another team. Maybe it gives you some cap relief that you use to sign the Mitch Marner instead. What is robbing Peter to pay Paul do for the team?
Yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but if you don't have Pastrnak, Marner's not coming here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you could do it, and maybe it's a Rantanen type thing, where maybe you get a guy like Nashis that's, on the come, but, he's also going to play with Nathan McKinnon, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah, and there's fucking nobody close to Nathan McKinnon in Boston, so.
Certainly isn't, unless you get lucky in the draft this year or next. That's really, I think, your only path forward at this point in time to really get impact guys into your lineup is if you get them through the draft in the next 2 years. I really think so. I don't think you're going to be able to get a Marner to come here. I really don't. I would love it. I think they should overpay and they should do whatever they can to try to bring the guy in. I just don't think he'll come. I just don't think so. Mm-hmm. The Bruins aren't in the right place right now for him to.
The only thing that the Bruins have going for them is they're a great organization to be with, as far as they're not on the cheap with the practice facility, their travel, their amenities to their players. The city's really nice, as far as a living environment, raising a family. It's not the worst in the tax department compared to some of the California teams, the Canada teams. So it's not the worst in that department. But if you know that when you sign here, you are likely not going to win a Stanley Cup, you are not going to get any of those young players that are going out to try and find success on a team. So like you said, a Mitch Marner who's never won shit in Toronto, he's not going to want to sign somewhere where he knows he's not going to win a Stanley Cup. And if that guy does sign here without winning a Stanley Cup and he's in that age range and is accepting that I don't care about winning a Stanley Cup, it's probably not a good sign.
No, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think from the players' point of view, I think they would say, if I go there, maybe I give us a chance to win. I can put us over the top. That's how.
If you come here and you take the most amount of money that you can get on the UFA market with a team that sucks, you are telling me in bold print, not even fine print, I don't give a fuck if I win. I want the bag.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I can see that.
That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Like all the teams that have a hard time bringing players in, they have to overpay and give people a lot more money so that they'll be there.
Yeah. They do.
We'll see if Boston turns out to be that.
Aussie Bruins 37 says the tank is on, and it is. And I hope they lose the rest of the games and we get into the top 5 and we get an impact player, because that's what we need. Cab says, can't wait to see what Sweens gets from Marchand 3 years from now.
Could be 4.
Yeah, could be
Watch
4.
Out.
Dan Maynard says, I forever want Pasta as a Bruin. He's my guy, but this guy is the most wasted elite talent in the league right now. And you are not wrong. That is.
We just went deep on that one.
Yeah, we did. So 100% true. Cab says Pasta isn't young. We went over that. It'll be crazy to stay with this organization. I think, that's certainly up for debate. And if they keep losing, I think he's going to want to go somewhere to win sooner rather than later, probably, if this keeps up. Because I know if I was him, I'd be getting pretty fucking tired of this after a while. Johnny Beecher with another great perfect game, 0-0-0. Good for him. Jones says it's a race to the bottom, and it is. And I hope the Bruins win it because we need some talent. Cab says Koepke, Mittelstadt, Lettieri was the second line. Seabass and Sweens would be delusional to think they are vying for the playoffs.
They have a lot more money to do the better drugs than us. Okay,
they do, and I think they are delusional, Cab. I think they were up until maybe even this week, still believing that they could somehow make it into the playoffs. Even with this, I'll say it this way, even though, I'm not trying to put the players down. This shit bag of a roster, this horseshit roster, I think they still felt like they could somehow get in.
The roster construction.
Yes.
The roster.
Yes. With the roster construction, they still thought they had a chance, which is ridiculously ridiculous. Dan Maynard says Beecher is the Ralph Wiggum of the classroom. He is eating paste in the corner, Dan Maynard. You are 100% correct. And that's funny because I I posted on Twitter earlier tonight a Ralph Wiggum in a tank riding around when I was trying to show that the Bruins should be tanking right now. So I'm with you on the Ralph Wiggum thing. Aussie Bruins 37 says, surely management can see the minus 39 goal differential and understand playoffs. Ain't gonna happen with this lineup. They should see that, but they've had a minus goal differential for months, and it hasn't gotten through to them. They thought, oh, we've been in a lot of games, but then we've just gotten blown out a few times, so that skewed the goal differential. The problem is that they've gotten blown out by good teams a lot, and that is the issue, is that they can't play it with or against good teams. They can't win those games. They could back in the day, earlier in the season, beat teams that they should beat, but now they're one of the teams at the bottom of the league where anyone can beat them because they just don't have any offense, and their defense is Swiss cheese like. Holy
blessed.
Blessed.
I've got a question for you to end the show here today.
Sure.
And with your answer, you can take it off into the sunset.
All right.
With the last few years, the Boston Bruins have seen captains of Zdeno Chara, Patrice Bergeron, and Brad Marchand.
Mm-hmm.
With Bergeron and Marchand, both of their captaincies were extremely fleeting, and they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the organization is going to take into account how long they expect a player to be with the organization before naming the next captain?
It's a possibility.
So, for example, I'll frame this a little bit more. If we're saying Pastrnak is probably going to ask out if the team's dick cheese for the next 3 years, do you think that is on management's mind at all, that we probably shouldn't give Pastrnak the captaincy if he's somebody that we're potentially going to move on from?
That's a very good question. I don't think that they think about that at all, because I don't think they have any kind of forethought at all. I think they're in the here and now, just like they were this year, trying to make the playoffs, even though the roster absolutely sucked. So I think they would give it to him. But here's something I'll ask you. I'll return the favor.
Oh,
I have heard, not this, so not next year, but the year after that, I believe Jack Eichel is a free agent. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there were whispers at some point, and I don't know if they're still there or not, that he wanted to, at some point in time, when the time was right, whenever that is.
That is a quote from Mr. Jack Eichel.
That he wanted to play for his hometown team.
They asked him about playing for the Boston Bruins. He said, I grew up in Boston. When the time is right, I would love to be able to play for the Bruins.
Is that the time? 2 years from now. And my point on the whole thing was, can you sell him on you're the captain when you come to get him to come? So part of the enticement to come here is
use it as a bartering chip.
Yes. In 2 years, just like they did with Chara, you come, you're the captain, you're the face of the franchise, blah, 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 blah. Here we are.
If they're dangling the captaincy as part of a package to bring in a superstar player, you're probably going to void out the team sucking for one person to sign here on a big money contract and be the captain.
So do you think that could potentially happen? Or is that a pie in the sky dream of all Bruins fans, all New Englanders, all people from Boston that know Jack Eichel is from North Chelmsford? Massachusetts and wants to come back here and play and went to BU and the whole thing? Like, is that just a pipe dream of, he'll come back? Was that just him being nice in the media?
Yes and no. So I know someone who knows the Eichel family pretty well, to the point where like they have multitudes of signed sticks and jerseys from Jack, etc.
Yeah.
And from what I gather from that person is that he's completely fine in Vegas.
Yeah, I thought so.
And the only way, because I've asked this straight up, because I've got a huge Jack Eichel chubby when they wanted to trade him, and I wanted the Bruins to get him from Buffalo. And at that point, he wanted the Bruins to trade for him.
Yeah, of course he did.
Now that he's gone to Vegas,
yeah,
and he's played in that culture, he loves playing there.
Right.
The only way that he won't go back is if they don't offer him a contract.
Right. That's what I figured. Why would he leave there? They're good.
The weather's better there.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay the state tax.
Yeah.
The team is good there. And
Yes.
he's got trade protection.
Yeah. All of it. Everything right now is better for him there than here. So I as much as I want to believe that and hope it happens, it's probably more likely not this contract. It will be the next contract when he's like 40.
It'll be the situation that Brad Marchand is in right now.
Yeah.
Eichel will get traded somewhere at the trade deadline at the end of the next contract. And then he'll sign with the Boston Bruins as a UFA for 2 to 3 years. And he'll play the shittiest years of his career in Boston.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I thought it would work out.
Yeah.
So that's, on that glowing note. Oh, by the way, Dan Maynard said it's called An Idiot Abroad, which is the show with Ricky Gervais. And the guy's name is Kyle Pilkington. Pilkington. And he said you need to watch it because it is hilarious.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So there's that. And Aussie Bruins says, I reckon we all want it. Yeah. Hope you're right. I'm not right. Connor is right. And
Allegedly.
hopefully he's wrong and he does come. But, I think it's extremely unlikely, as we've said, with anyone wanting to come and play on this team, because it's going to be a tough few years. On that note, we will wrap this thing up and we'll see you guys all on Saturday night, late night again. We think Matty is back, but maybe he'll give us the shaft again. Don't know yet. But, you can use the coupon code, buy some merch, use this code, Sorry John, and buy something. Keep that streak alive for us. And we will see you all Saturday night after Bruins Sharks. Thanks for watching. Go Bruins.